Pisces full moon. Let me bring the full moon into the picture so that we could take a peek at what that's going to look like. So here we go. There's that Pisces full moon at 28 degrees. And at the opposite, the sun, 28 degrees. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things happening at this time. And anytime we talk about any event, we have to take into consideration, we have to take a look at all the other players, I call them, the planets, because these planets really do represent people in your life, right? People walk up to you. It could be people you know, people you don't even know, right? Mars approaches you, and it's someone who's coming towards you who might be a little on the assertive side, might be a little combative, might feel a little brash, might be a little rough around the edges, right? That'd be Mars coming at you, like in your face, right? Mercury, someone that you talk to. Could be a sibling, because that's Mercury, or a neighbor, or a schoolmate. That's Mercury. Venus, someone that's important to you. Female energy, someone that you have a value with, whether you love each other or a shared value. And Mars, masculine energy. Masculine doesn't have to be a male, but it is masculine energy. And so too is Venus. And this Mercury right now coming through as female energy, especially in the sign of Libra. Mercury and Venus are siblings. They talk all the time. They're in close contact with each other. Sun, 28 degrees, Virgo. Virgo, again, health routines, health habits. It's the work, it's the job. It's a great time to release some health routines that no longer serve you. It's a time when this moon shines the light on those things, those habits where you're like, why do I do that? I don't want to do that anymore. And so you recognize how whatever that habit was, whatever that routine was, you're like, I'm ending that. It just doesn't help me. I always feel like crap after I do that, or it's not helping me feel any better than I already feel. And so the full moon will help to release that habit. Likely it comes with a heightened sense of emotions. Big light that pops on, other than the moon's light, there might be this aha moment, because it could be all about stuff within the family and in the past, and definitely possibly within a childhood, but possibly, if you believe in this sort of thing, something from other lifetimes. You may be carrying something over and you still don't know, where the heck does that come from anyway? What sort of a fear is that? Like, what does that come from? Some people bring forward stuff from a very long time ago, things from childhood that they don't even remember. There could even be times of when they were in their mother's belly. Venus, 11:35, Uranus at 14. So here we are. This is the full moon. Venus is opposing Uranus. So the following days, she'll be getting even closer because she's going direct, meaning her numbers will go up. And she'll get to 14. She'll be opposing Uranus, and definitely another new thing coming through, because it's like, whoa, I didn't realize, or I thought maybe, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is it. This is definitely something that I value. I definitely, I need to make sure that I'm taking care of this. I need to make sure that this is a focus for me. And this is a shared value. It's a shared value because it's in Scorpio. So to give you more information, if it's in Scorpio, it's going to likely be with individuals that you're very close to. It's not just Joe Schmo on the street. It's not just necessarily a schoolmate, or if it is a schoolmate or a coworker, it's someone that you energetically vibe with in a really deep way, And this can be a release. This can be a release, not necessarily of those individuals, but maybe there was a wound and a healing can come, because Scorpio, sign of Scorpio, ruler is Pluto. When we have Pluto, Pluto helps us to process stuff by bringing it up to the surface. Okay, so there might be some surprises because Uranus is involved. Yep. And so the following day of the full moon, you could still have some surprises because Venus isn't exactly opposing it just yet, right? So check out your chart. What degrees do you have your Scorpio energy in? You're looking for 12, 13, 14 degrees of Scorpio, 12, 13, 14 degrees of Taurus energy. And that is to find out this deep energetic bonds. In terms of that full moon, you're going to be looking at 26, 27, 28 to 29 degrees of Pisces, or 1 degrees of Aries, because it's close. 1 degrees of Aries, a 2-degree orb, right? So same thing in the Virgo and Pisces, 26, 27, 28, 29, or 1 degrees of Virgo. So releasing, and this individual would likely help that release happen. It's a shared value. It might be a squashing, like I said in the beginning, of some disagreement, of some difference, and a releasing finally of that, of letting it go, of realizing, oh my gosh, I was just being overly critical, or way too, what I wanted was so idealistic. It was unattainable. Mars, we got to know what Mars is always up to, right? Always want to know where Mars is. And yeah, who's Mars having conversations with? And so when we ask that question, it simply is a matter of, it's called an aspect. So look, Mars is at 352. This is a very beautiful thing for a full moon. There's a lot of synchronistic lineups happening. Mars is in air, 352. What else do we have in air? Well, let's take a peek. We have Saturn at 7, which means Mars is actually 352, which means 4 degrees. Mars is trining Saturn here. You see that? Yep, it's going to get tighter as the days follow. The next few days after this, Mars will be creating a tight trine with Saturn. But look, on the day of this full moon, what's the other air sign? Gemini. You see that? It's the North Node. The North Node, our future, where we're headed. It's in Gemini, the way we think, the way we talk, the way we communicate. 354. It's an exact trine, a difference of 2 minutes. This is a beautiful full moon. It's Mars, the North Node, and Saturn. Remember we talked about this month and the compromise? And very soon, Mercury's going to begin her retrograde here. Yep, once Mercury gets to 25, there will be a retrograde. And I mentioned about negotiations, renegotiations, because here we have Mars and the node and Saturn lining up. And it's like a grand go-ahead. It's the air signs. So the air signs are all about thinking, talking, innovation. Everybody's at the table and we're having conversations. We're talking about what we are thinking about. We are talking about new ideas. We are talking about, it's got like a sibling vibe to it and a neighborly vibe, a coworker vibe to it. This is a significant one-on-one relationship vibe. Like we have similar values. We know that we're important to each other, but this is also business partnerships. It's like, let's make a deal. And then we have Saturn, the one in charge, the one who creates the rules, the rule maker. Simon says, the people, groups, and this can be the law as well, because it's Libra, the scales, right, of balance. And this is Mars taking action. Let's do it. And the North Node. This is really powerful. Really, really powerful. I mean, this is a full moon. It's like a release and a beginning all at the time of the full moon. But days before this full moon, this is actually a benefit for this particular moment. The sun at 28, 4 days before, it would have been trining Pluto. Another beautiful trine 4 days before. It's in Earth. It's in Virgo, which is all about the practical and the tangible. It's like we can do this. We know how to piece these things together. Let's take a look at this and let's make this happen. Sun training Pluto, people who are in power. This is government. This is big business. This is the banks. Now look at Jupiter, 2332, the day of the full moon. Look at Mercury in air, 23. Look at this. A beautiful trine. There is so much support for common interests, shared values, and conversations. This is big information, a lot of details, right? Mercury trining Jupiter, and Jupiter's powerful because it's moving backwards. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of big things occurring here, a lot of big decisions being made. Remember, Mercury, it's in its shadow zone. It started its shadow zone on the new moon. On the new moon, it began its shadow zone. And it'll actually go backwards once it hits 25 degrees. Make sure you watch that video. Watch it because I'll show you the stages of Mercury and what kind of conversations Mercury will be having and with who Mercury will be having those conversations with. There's going to be very, very big ideas put on the table about our future and how we can move together. But it's a conversation that includes children, small kids, teachers, school children, right? This is coworker energy. This is sibling. This is people in your neighborhood, right? This is the short distance journeys. This is Libra, which is the courts, which is let's do these things fair and balanced. And Mars, so let's take action. This is our values. These are the important relationships. And Saturn, a beautiful, grand air trine with Mercury and Jupiter talking and having good conversations that bring ease. Trines bring ease. It's like the impossible all of a sudden can just be done. So let's go see if there's anything that's difficult. When it comes to the moon's nodes, they're at 3 degrees, 3 degrees. So we're going to go to Virgo. We've got Regulus there at 0. So it's starting to tighten up to Regulus because the moon's nodes go backwards. It's at 3:54 here. It's not a factor yet. As the time moves on and we get into November, I'll do an update video on that because that's when Mercury retrograde will actually, that's when Mercury will clear its retrograde zone. And we'll take another peek as to where the moon's nodes are going to be then. Remember, this is our north node where we're headed for our future. Attitude, the way we think, our thoughts and our beliefs are really all on the table. Thoughts and beliefs are being looked at, are being picked over, are being analyzed, are being reevaluated. It's like, do we really believe that? Do we really think that we can move forward in this fashion, in this way? And so there's a big reevaluation, but it's got the support of the universe to be fair and balanced. Now, that's not to say that this energy will stay this way, because eventually Mars is going to move along and it'll get into Scorpio, where it is a very strong fighter. But at this time, having all of this in air, trining all of this in air, trining Saturn and trining Jupiter, it's a beautiful benefit. In the meantime, Mars will be squaring all the Capricorn energy. It's not squaring yet, but as you see, Mercury's at 23. When Mercury, look at it, may be trining Jupiter here. And which means that for its square to Pluto, it may look beautiful, like it's all just going to happen. It's just going to work. It's just going to go ahead. And then as 2 days go by, right, all of a sudden, Mercury pulls out of the Jupiter trine and it starts to square and to feel the tension and the stress of Pluto. Remember, Pluto is big business and big government. It's the people with the big money, the big power. And they're going to be like, no, I don't think so. Okay, and that's just part of the process of negotiating, of compromise, because that is the sign of Libra. There is definitely, for the month of September, a very compromising spirit. And that spirit will stick with us until Mars gets up to squaring Pluto. Venus, 11 degrees, days before the full moon, Venus was squaring Saturn. Days before. 3, 4, 5 days before, Venus would have been squaring Saturn. Venus is in Scorpio. It's a fixed sign. So Venus is very passionate about the shared values. Venus comes forward and says, what? This square angle is tension and stress. So it's not all rainbows and unicorns and ice cream cakes. There is some stress and tension. However, Venus, when she talks to Saturn, it's as though Saturn is like the father figure. Venus recognizes that Saturn is the boss. It's just that way. Venus knows that she's more or less, she's not in charge, but she's not afraid to make her values, her desires, what she's willing to fight for. She's not afraid to speak up here. Venus lets Saturn know what's important to her. And she points out that it's just not what's important to her, but it's a shared value. And she's passionate about it. It's Scorpio energy. Mercury will also get to 25 degrees. And what's interesting is that after Pluto tells Mercury no, or throws some sort of stress to Mercury, Mercury then goes backwards and has to start to think, how can I reevaluate this? How can I compromise? What am I willing to negotiate on? What is it that I'm willing to bend a little bit? And that's exactly how this is going to work out. Mercury will do the thinking and then go backwards and then go forward again and meet Pluto again. And make sure you look for that next video to find out what is Mercury going to discover. And when she has a conversation with Pluto next time, the next time she meets Pluto, what are the conversations going to be about? What are the other planets' conversations going to be? Right now, this all looks really beautiful. There's a lot of support. There's definitely the desire for change and for improvement, and maybe even a little bit of perfection involved. But what we're going to see is that Mercury's going to come to the end of the retrograde season, and we'll find out what the other planets have to say, what it is that they've presented, and how will that look, and how will Mercury take it, and then what will Pluto have to say? Pluto, the one in charge, the one with the power. Pluto brings deep transformational changes. And yes, once those changes are made at a deep level, a root level at the very core of the government, a lot of healing can occur and a new belief in the foundations and the structures of our society.